Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Southborough. If you haven't seen this show before, my name is Arthur Bergeron. My day job is as an elder law attorney at Myrick O'Connell. I work up the street in Westborough, but this is not about my day job. It's about my friends Frank and Mary. If you've been to the presentations I've done at the Senior Center, or see the videos that are now posted on the Southborough YouTube channel, you know that Frank and Mary's goal in life is to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And if that's like you, then the show is designed. It's designed to tell you about the programs and the people that you need to know in order to stay in Southborough for the rest of your life. But we also try to use it as a vehicle through which you can see what's going on in Southborough, because you among all of the residents, have a real interest in just seeing what is going on. With me is my co-host Tug Peck, who has been living in Southborough for a long time, originally from Ashland, but has been living here forever. And once again, his day job is working with nothing but seniors. He has a job, seniors helping seniors. So not only all of his employees, but all the people he works for are all seniors. So he usually finds these wonderful guests for me, or for us. But today I'm introducing someone who I heard about, because I heard about the organization which has really kind of blossomed in Southborough over the last number of years. Beth Dill is now the chairman of the Southborough community, what I call the Southborough Community Fund, which is an advisory fund of the Foundation for MetroWest. Beth's going to talk to you about all of that and how that works. So Beth, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And so Beth, for folks who are unaware of this, and I know I was unaware of it until I found myself with some friends thinking about doing something similar in Marlborough, where I live, and then heard about this, and then talked about your predecessor who is the chairman of the Education Fund, and it just seems like a wonderful thing. So I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about kind of the history of what the organization is, what it has come to be, and how it's related to the Foundation for MetroWest, which also is an entity that most people in Southborough would not know about. And it's a really I think your relationship with that organization is a really valuable thing for the town. So
yeah. So our mission for the Southborough Community Fund is to promote philanthropic giving to fund critical needs in Southborough. We get our donors from Southborough, and we only donate grants and money to causes that support Southborough. The Southborough Community Fund was started about in 2014 by Tom Crotty and a small group of Southborough residents. It wants to fund that. Well, let me get further. In 2019, we merged with the Southborough Education Fund. So both funds are now merged together, and we are underneath and supported by the MetroWest Foundation. And so that they do all of our back administrative work. We're part of their nonprofit laws or covenant, and they basically keep our website up, do all our collections. So the people on the board, what we do is we market the organization, and then we decide, we get grants throughout the year for education, and we get grants in the fall for all the other areas we support, which I will get to, and they help us administer those grants. So it's very efficient. And
that sounds like a great way to kind of handle this. I know for so many communities, you find that there are a number of perhaps worthwhile organizations, right, that are doing worthwhile things, but the things that they don't really feel like doing or have the extra money to do are the accounting and the legal and the regulatory stuff. All of which, seems like a bunch of red tape, but of course it's all there for a very useful purpose, and that is to make sure that entities that are receiving money that is tax deductible money, that is supposed to be going for charitable or educational purposes, are using it for that purpose and are not kind of siphoning off the money, because there are scams everywhere, and so certainly the IRS as well as the Attorney General has, in Massachusetts, have an interest in making sure that doesn't happen. So this really seems like a great way for you to be handling these things.
Oh, yes. I am an ex-CPA and was the chief financial officer. So you are talking to, and I'm on several nonprofit boards. And what MetroWest Foundation does for us is so valuable and allows us to really just work on the mission that we have within Southborough, and they take care of everything else. They've been around since 1995, which is another, I think, it's like a secret, you know what I mean? And they basically do philanthropy in the MetroWest area solely, but they have also started these town funds in several area towns, like other towns have them, and they basically just support us. We have our own, we raise our own money, we do everything, but they do all the finance and accounting, and they take a small piece of what we raise to basically support the work that they do for us. But
and can you just tell us, just kind of once again, as brief background, so how did you get involved in this? You said you had a day job, obviously. You're a CPA. You did some other stuff, right? Are you have you been in Southborough for a long time? And how did you get inevitably lured into doing this?
All right, just one other thing. As I said, it was started by Tom Crotty, and my husband and I had a business. We sold it in 2018, and so I retired. And Tom, of course, found Beth out, came to me and said, "Beth, would you like to join the board?" So I'm a new member of the board. I've only been on the board for basically since 2019. I immediately became the chairman of the grants. So I worked with the grants that we basically do every single year. And Tom has, after 9 years of serving as chairman, decided to step down, and he's still on the board and still very active, and he asked me to be chairman. So that's how I got involved. And
that's wonderful. That's how communities run, right? It's like,
and I've been living in Southborough since 1993, and before that lived in Framingham. So I'm a local resident. And
you're a real local.
Yes, I am a local resident.
That's terrific. That's terrific. So and can you give us a sense of kind of how people find their way to your board and who's on the board, and what that relationship I guess you explained the relationship with the Foundation for MetroWest. So basically you are you're saying this advisory group, right, is basically in charge of telling the Foundation of MetroWest where to put the money that the foundation raises?
We raise the money. The MetroWest will basically manage our investments and those things, but we do grant processes throughout the year. Just a little bit on what we support, and then I'll talk a little bit about our board.
Great.
We support 4 major areas. We support education, health and human services, arts and culture, and in the environment. Basically, most of our money goes to education and health and human services. We have 3 grant cycles that we work with where people can give us grants, throughout the year. The first grant cycle is the original Southborough Community Fund grant cycle, which is in the fall. And we go out to any nonprofit in the Southborough area and ask them to provide grants to us for us to fund.
Oh, to provide grant applications to you.
Grant applications to us for us to fund.
Right.
In the health and human services area, we've granted money to we grant money every year to the senior center and to youth and family services. We've worked with the fire department. We've worked with Thrive, which is a after-school program for disabled adults. We basically fund the caregiver meals in Southborough for the elderly they get a weekly meal for the caregivers, and it's managed by the senior center. With youth and family services, we make a funding every year to their emergency fund, which people think in Southborough nobody has emergencies, but they do. And the emergency, the health and family service, youth and family services, they will evaluate. We don't do any of the evaluation, but they'll evaluate if the need is there and make the funds. We also have recently, through the health and family services, done grants for suicide prevention education throughout the town. We've also granted money for to figure out a coalition with the high school. We actually had Northborough co-fund this with us to start an alcohol and drug abuse family coalition within the high school. So we grant a lot in those areas. And those are all done through our fall grants, which also include, we always do some arts grants, which can include everything from a nature walk at the library to sponsoring concerts. And we usually always fund some environmental grants, which a lot of times we're helping with the trails within Southborough.
I see.
Then that's for those types of grants. We also do education grants now that we've merged with the education fund. And we have two types of grants with the education fund. We have our major grants, which happen in January, because of course the teachers are a little busy in September and the fall. And so those education grants start in January, and they are basically, we do them with all of the schools within Southborough. And they've been everything from fine motor skill tools to portable chemical hoods for the high school to no, that was a mini grant, and then drones for the middle school so the kids can learn to program. So those are our major grants, and those happen in January, and there's a grant cycle that we go through. And then during the year for the education grants, we also have what's called a mini grant, and it's anything under $750. And a teacher can just write an email, give us what they think they need. We evaluate the grant, and then if it's appropriate, we will fund it for those teachers within a month. So it's a great way for the teachers. And we've done mini grants like make your own brand at the high school, literacy in action. We just did at the high school a mini grant where we had a find your own story, and the author of a book on her own story came in and spoke to the entire high school. And those mini grants, the teachers love them, the principals love them, because they're fast, they're easy, and they do an immediate and quick need. So
now I'm thinking I'm thinking about it from my random involvement in community and government, right? So can you just tell me, so where does the money go? If a teacher is asking for a mini grant, are you writing a check to the teacher?
No, we are not writing a check to the teacher. We have a great relationship with first of all, we can't, because we only write checks to 501(c)(3)s. That's it.
And okay, so 501(c)(3) meaning an organization that is entitled to receive not only individual donations, but also money from the foundation, because the foundation itself is only giving, the foundation does not give money to individuals, it only gives it to 501(c)(3)s, right?
Absolutely, we only give to 501(c)(3)s.
So you're only, so you're supporting nothing but 501(c)(3)s and the government. The reason why I say that, I mean, that's one of the, I happen to know that's one of the issues when you're a foundation is that you are allowed to give money to a 501(c)(3) or to a government entity, right? Right,
and so that's why we can give to youth and family services, we can give to the schools, and we have a good relationship. The teachers basically send us the emails, the principals approve it, and then we just notify the accounting department at the school system. We've met with them, and they're very cooperative, and we tell them this money's coming in for this teacher, and they make sure that the money is used for for the purpose to which it was asked, for.
Right. And I would assume that the alternative to if you're a teacher, the only alternative to this would be to have, to work a proposal up the food chain, get it to the superintendent and the school committee, and then get it onto have a separate warrant article at town meeting, to go, it would basically, these would be impossible were it not for this kind of device.
Yes, and we don't really want to fund things that the town should fund, and we're pretty careful about that. We try to fund innovative, new ideas, starting things. We have had things that we funded that we want to fund the initial, like this coalition at the high school for drug abuse and alcohol abuse. We're funding it in the beginning, and then hopefully it will get put into the budget. A lot of times we try to do an innovative ideas. I mean, some of them, we don't fund capital, like desks or anything, nothing. It always has. This year from the schools, we funded the drones and an ocular system where the students can go into virtual reality and do all different things and see places. I think they're doing an archaeological dig is one of the first things they're going to do. They're going to go as teams and go in and do an archaeological dig through the optical and virtual reality. It's really, we like to fund very innovative ideas that the teachers could not get through normal, budgetary sources within the school system. Or, I will say that the senior center and the health and family services, they come to us every year because they have fairly small budgets, and when they have a new idea, and that's what we push them for. We push them for new ideas that we can make an impact by funding.
And Doug, you had mentioned this organization, I recall,
right?
Of course, of talking about the work that you do at the Friends of Southborough Seniors, right?
Right. I believe they fund us directly at the senior center, but the caregiver meals grant has been really important for us. Can you
talk about that? Yeah.
It provides a nice meal to the caregiver and whoever they're caregiving for, or usually their spouse, on a regular basis. And by a nice meal, I mean it comes from Kennedy's. So it's not a Meals on Wheels program. There's nothing wrong with Meals on Wheels, but it makes them feel special. I delivered some meals, some caregiver meals last week, and the people just waiting for them. They're excited to get them because it's a nice meal. These folks are ones that are either dealing with a long-term issue such as dementia, or somebody's been in the hospital for a long time, or they're just coming home, and again, nobody can get out. So nobody can get out. Their caregiving is going on, just on the longer term, on a regular basis. So we try to provide these meals just to say, hey, there's somebody that's thinking of you. This is, they really, really do appreciate it. It just goes to show you that when a lot of people think about grants, they think about, somebody donated $100,000 or $200,000. This is a couple $1,000s a year that really has I don't know the exact amount.
It's actually over 10,000 that we don't.
Exactly, over 10, because we've expanded the program.
Yes, and we're happy. Yes.
It started smaller and it's gotten bigger, and they've given us the support, and it's just had a lot of impact on people's lives. I can't say enough about it.
Pam at the senior center gave us a quote and said she has heard from many of these individuals that when these meals come, it's the one person that they get to see in a week that isn't a medical, a medical part of the medical system to help them. So it's and they really do appreciate it. So we love these. We love funding these meals.
Yeah.
And the meals themselves, Doug, are always delivered by senior center volunteers.
Right. They are.
Yes.
So once again, in terms of the kind of also the function of the Meals on Wheels, it also gives somebody a chance to just kind of talk to folks who are there and get a sense of whether there's anything else that they can be helpful with.
Right.
That's a terrific program.
It's something it's really nice. I mean, we're a relatively small community, although it's growing, but still small compared to Framingham. And it's really nice to be able to do this. You get to know the people. These are people that you may have seen at the senior center. All of a sudden, they've been gone for a couple of months for whatever reason, and now you get to do something nice for them. It makes everybody feel good, and I think it's just so important for a town like this to have something like this.
So it's what's so terrific is that it is first of all, it is staying right in Southborough. You know, and I
Yes.
think for folks in general, they just feel more comfortable if the money that they're giving is not kind of evaporating into the ether. You know, while they may feel very charitable in general, they feel a real connection to Southborough, right?
Mhm.
And the fact that it can be responding to these kinds of individual needs so quickly because all the players are right here on the ground,
Right.
right? So you're just supporting local players that are right here on the ground. And I guess I mentioned that to the folks who are watching because I know I was talking to Beth and to Doug about this a little bit earlier. And as folks know, I've spent quite a bit of time at the senior center. I have, we're local, we're Myrick O'Connell's up the street. So I've worked with a lot of folks in Southborough. And I was reflecting on this a while ago when I realized I've been at Myrick O'Connell now for 12 years. I've done 2,000 estate plans, actually a little bit north of 2,000 estate plans during that time. And of those, I bet there are not 50 where folks are, when they, as part of their estate plan, saying that they're leaving some money to a nonprofit organization or to anybody other than their family. And I'm not criticizing giving money to family, but when you think about, especially if your family lives in Southborough, right, or if you've got grandchildren or whatever, right, and the way that you make Southborough special is by having funds that are available in the next generation, and to say that you're going to take a small percentage of what you would otherwise have given, right? And say that's going to a nonprofit organization. And usually people say, well, when they think nonprofit, they're thinking Mass General, and St. Jude and the Audubon Society, and those are all fine, right? But to have a local entity that is local and that is supporting this whole variety of things and basically being, you're providing a legacy, which is really an ongoing legacy for Southborough. So I'm sorry, I digress. But Beth, can you just give us a sense, going back to what I had asked about earlier, like who's on the board and how do people connect with, if people want to make a donation now? Obviously, they could talk to me about it if they wanted to make a donation in the future, because the nice thing about this is all of these, whether they're donations now or whether you're in your estate plan, they're all tax deductible. They get deducted from your income tax, they get deducted from your estate tax, right?
Yeah.
So Beth, talk to us about the board and about how people can connect with you.
Well, people can connect with me, and I know my name and contact information will be at the end.
Yeah.
Just by emailing me, okay? And I can get you connected depending on if you want to help us, because we are growing our board right now. We have 14 people on the board. I'm not going to list them all, but we have a board of 14 people. Our board members range from people who have been in town for, 10 years and up, and people who have children in school, because we have merged. 3 of our board members came over from the Southborough Ed Fund. And then some people have been on the board because they've been in town, like me, for close to 30 years. We are, over COVID, we didn't increase our board and we've lost a few people. So we are clearly looking for people to come onto the board. And if you're interested, just please contact me. How can you support us? Well, there's lots of ways you can support us. You can basically, this information can go up at the end. Also, you can just call anybody at the MetroWest organization and say you want to donate to the Southborough Fund, and they will make sure that it goes to the Southborough Fund. You can donate through an estate. We have an endowment. You could say, I would like it put into the endowment, or you can donate as just an annual. Of course, every year we do an annual appeal and we mail out to people, and you can just make a donation for that year. So we have lots of ways to allow people to put money into this fund.
And remember, folks, these are donations that, the check is going to say the Foundation for MetroWest, right? But all of the donations, once again, you want to say something about that on the check, about whether you want the donation to go. but they have an agreement with the Southborough Community Fund that all of these donations are ending up going to where the Southborough, where the advisory fund, the community advisory fund advises that they go, right?
Yes,
And-
yeah,
and-
absolutely.
But that
if you-
said, all the donations are tax deductible.
Yes,
right?
and we do have our own website. Okay, it's Foundation for MetroWest.org, SCF. And you can donate online. You can mail a donation in. You can do it. You can do it if you have a DAF. You can do it from your DAF. And all you have to do is in the information thing, say you look up MetroWest Foundation because that's who you'll be giving it to. But if you put it into the memo field that it's for Southborough, it will absolutely get to Southborough. I can guarantee that because I've done it.
And she's an accountant. She looks at these things.
I actually do. And
How do they
and
know?
MetroWest is very supportive. This is one of their goals. So they just want to see these funds increase in size and us to give more to the town of Southborough.
Mhm.
So yes, and if you get a hold of me, I can get you in touch with Mary Crowley, who is our liaison at the MetroWest, and she's told me to say if anybody wants to have any questions, she's happy to answer them. I'm happy to answer them. She is. I talk to her monthly.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
they
great.
do lots for us. They do the marketing for us. They keep our website up. We
They do.
work with them so much.
Mhm.
They do some wonderful things. So
Yes.
Doug, I want to apologize for monopolizing so much of this conversation, but you already knew Beth, right? And you've been dealing with the community fund, and this is like all new to me. And so it usually Doug brings the guests on, and I just provide comic relief. But this, so thank you, Doug. Thanks a million, Beth, for doing this. And
Thank
folks,
you.
this is a great way, to be giving back to your community. If you're volunteering at the senior center, that's all great. If you're actually giving some money, and I know if you're a senior, you say, "Oh my God, I don't want to run out of money before I die." I get that. So put it in your estate. When
Yeah.
you're dead, you're dead. You're not going to need the money. Don't, we're not fighting with your kids over this, but take a percentage. And just say to yourself, I want a percentage that's going to live on. It's like my kids, that's going to live on
Mhm.
after I die. And this is the way to do it. So
Mhm.
Doug, thank you so much. Beth, thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
Folks, and thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next installment of Frank and Mary here in Southborough. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.